Joining us on the program now from Laidlaw College, Dr. Myk Habets. Mike, kia ora, thank you for joining us.
Kia ora, lovely to be here.
I suspect you're going to start off throwing some Latin terms at me when it comes to a theological understanding of salvation.
No, never. Terms like soteriology and other things. Yeah, although that's Greek, right? Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Easter is one of my favourite times of the year, though. I love Easter. I love what it represents. I love that we've got time to reflect, meditate. The churches historically take it seriously, and the rest of the community hasn't got a clue what we're doing, and sometimes asks, which is a great opportunity.
It is a great opportunity, but I think you're being too generous in this regard. Does the church understand what Easter is all about? Because there's some reasonably murky or perhaps even some wishy-washy theology about what exactly did happen on the cross, why it is good news, and how being saved has transformed our lives. Now, I'm not naming names and pointing fingers on this one, but perhaps we don't have as a robust understanding of what it means to be saved as we should.
Yep, I think that's fair. Salvation is such a big term. It encompasses so much, from legal ideas, commercial ideas, warfare, ethics, relationality, sacrifice, and religion. It's just massive. And the temptation for every one of us, pastors included, is to reduce that into something manageable. I get that temptation, and we have to package stuff up. The problem is, if every year is the same package, then we reduce salvation to simply one little aspect of this wonderful doctrine that we have. We're tempted, I think, in many churches, that it's just a transaction. That Jesus has to suffer. It's the suffering that counts. It's as somehow the Father is flogging the Son on the cross in some really weird, sadistic sense, and somehow that's salvific, as if just suffering brings redemption. That's not biblical. Or the other way, the other extreme, he really didn't do anything for us. It was just, what an amazing display of someone who's loving and generous and would even do that for us. There's elements of truth at both ends of the spectrum, but neither of those are the truth, right?
This is, of course, central. I mean, this is the crux of the Christian story. It is literally the center of Christian doctrine and what that means. This is the changing point. You would expect it to be multifaceted. You would expect it to be slightly complicated. But how would you explain it, I suppose, in as simple terms as possible? For us as human beings, what exactly did happen on the cross, Mike?
That's the million-dollar question. This is my attempt to try to be faithful to what I'm reading in Scripture and through the tradition as Christians are reflected. There's no one right way to say that. I mean, there's a year's worth of caveats here. God creates us, humans, male and female. He creates them, and he wants to bless them by bringing them into a full, flourishing relationship with himself. And God will stop at nothing to make that happen. Even our own human stupidity, our own human nastiness, our own human sin and evil and fallenness, however that stuff enters into the world, it has. And us, like sheep, stupid sheep, right? We have gone astray, and God will relentlessly do anything to bring us back. And that means that he's going to send himself, the eternal Son, to take on our humanity for us and our salvation. That's wonderful. That's blessed. That's him showing what God is like. God is a Father. I'm his Son. I send the Holy Spirit. But more than that, at Easter, he'll not only become one of us, he'll even become one of us to the point of death, and death on a cross, in order to take our garbage, to take our problems, to take our unholiness, our otherness, just our stupidity. He takes that upon himself, and he gives us, as the early church says, the cross is like a pharmacy. He gives us healing. He gives us forgiveness. He gives us reconciliation. And I could go through the thesaurus another 30 words. In short, he takes what is ours to himself, and he gives us what he has. He takes our fallenness, and he gives us the relationship that he has with the Father, even to the point of death, and death on a cross.
When we look at that spectrum that you talked about earlier, let's focus on the flogging end of the spectrum, if that's okay, because this is a real stumbling block for some people, and it even says in the Bible that the cross will be a stumbling block to many. But for some people, they say, yeah, but why did Jesus have to die? Surely that's cruel. I think it was Richard Dawkins who described Christianity as cosmic child abuse.
Mm-hmm.
The suffering did need to happen at a theological, at a metaphysical level. Can you try and explain that aspect of it, that Jesus did need to die for salvation to be possible?
Yep, I want to preface that Christ has to die because of our sin.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to die to unite humans with God.
Yeah.
He created Adam and Eve for a relationship with them and everyone else. But because we now have sinned, because we have gone astray, because we have disobeyed, that's what necessitates the cross. And in the world that God has set up, there are consequences for actions. And we all know there are consequences for actions. In any relationship which is loving, when you disappoint, when you disobey, when you actually hurt the person you love, that person is grieved, that person is hurt. There's no different with God. We have walked away. He didn't walk away from us. And so there has to be a payment. There has to be, that's the legal stuff. There has to be a way, a mechanism to make this right.
Yeah.
And the only way that mechanism works is if me as a human not only repays my debt to God, that's commercial language, but somehow I have to fulfill my end of the relationship. But I've already stuffed it. I've already so damaged it that I can't do that. Neither can you, neither can anyone else. So God could simply walk away. Well, you guys, you've busted it.
Yeah.
More fool you stupid creatures. Yeah. Instead, he says, well, I will become one of you. Without ceasing to be divine, I will become human, and I will do for you what you can't do for yourselves, and that means death. I will take your brokenness, I will take your sin, I will take your unholiness, your anti-shalom, and I will absorb it. And I think absorb is quite a nice word.
Yeah, yeah.
I will simply take it to myself and evacuate it, make it disappear.
Beautiful words there, but I just wanted to perhaps focus on the other end of the spectrum where people see what happened on the cross as kind of like an eternal get-out-of-jail-free card. That this is our ticket to the happy ever after, and Jesus is my friend, and I get a hall pass. I mean, this, of course, is too shallow an explanation, but for some people, they receive the gift without fully understanding and embracing the consequences.
Yep, and that's in a sense to treat God as some sort of divine mathematician.
Yep.
There's a problem here. Here's the formula. I've given you a solution. If you just accept that, then you're now right. Let's just put all of that away. Let's just call nonsense on all of that. And if we can think in relationships, because that's what the scriptures are.
Yep.
It's God who creates us for a relationship. And in any relationship, it's not about mathematics, or it shouldn't be. It's not about physics. It's not about bean counting. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about being in a right and full relationship. Christ rises again the third day. He sends the Spirit 40, 50 days later, Pentecost, and he says, take up your cross daily and follow me. Yeah. There's this not only Christ-like life, there's also this language that we have, this cruciform life, a cross-shaped life.
Yeah.
And from the very first followers of Jesus, Stephen, the first martyr who dies for his faith, from the very first followers throughout history, look, it's both easy to follow Jesus, his yoke is light, and it's incredibly hard. It might demand my life.
Yeah.
And what I'm really attracted to, I have to say, is older Christians, mature Christians, those who have had a far more exciting life than I ever have, far more suffering, danger, affliction, you name it, and yet they are still passionately following Christ Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
Why? Because there is nothing better. They're taking up their cross daily. Oh, when I grow up, I want to be like them. Yeah. I want to be like Paul. I want to be like Stephen. I want to be like Christ.
I'd have to put
suffering, pain, then glory.
I have to put a caveat on that for myself personally if I ever grow up. But well said, Mike. And I think the challenge for us as we head towards Easter, because as you say, for some of us who have seen a few Easters before, we've done a few laps on this. And we may have a nice, easy bumper sticker thing of, oh yeah, this is what Easter means. But a challenge as we head into the Easter season to perhaps go a bit deeper, to read more broadly on what happened on the cross. How does this affect me? How should I then now live in response to the sacrifice and redemption that Jesus has offered? And if you want to go real deep into this, of course, a paper on soteriology at Laidlaw College, that's not a bad place to start, Mike.
It's a good place to start to unpack. Can I encourage people this Easter to linger in Friday and Saturday? Just let again the experience that the eternal Son of God has died for us.
Yeah.
Simply because he loves us. He doesn't have to, but he wants to.
Mm.
But let's linger in that pain, that loss, that emptiness, and then on Easter Sunday, rejoice in the resurrection, which has put death to death.
Yeah.
But then we head back into the week and we take up that cross, that Christ-likeness. Yeah, let's go through that whole journey if we can.
And that's well, that might be the reason that we have Easter Monday as well, to complete that particular cycle. Mike, thank you for what you do. Thank you for joining us. Of course, laidlaw.ac.nz for more information about the work that you do. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.